don't educate ourselves in these things, when things go wrong, when there is sickness in the household, straight away it just presses a panic button in a lot of people, especially for new mums when you've got young babies and things like that. It can be very scary to have a sick child, especially if they've got a really high fever, or, you know, they're projectile vomiting everywhere, or they're just screaming for hours. Like, it's really hard to know what to do sometimes. So to have a few basic skills up your sleeve and have a bit of education goes a long way. So, and the things that we're going to look at today, the little boosters and the little poultices and hydrotherapy techniques, they're all great, but proper foundation that's laid in health as well. So I'm not saying just use your natural therapies like you would pharmaceutical drugs, because that'll only get you so far as well. We actually need to lay a good foundation where we've got those New Start principles, for those that know them, but we'll go through them. So definitely your diet, the things that you eat on a daily basis. So you're at least having 2 to 3 meals per day, most people. On a daily basis is going to be making a big difference to how your body's responding. And kids are a great example of this again, whereas, you know, you give them a red cordial and an ice cream, you're going to see them bouncing off the walls in no time at all. Like, it affects their physiology. And it does affect our physiology too, but adults try to kind of keep it more controlled. And then often it ends up developing into more chronic issues later on down the track. But when you see kids bouncing off the walls, you know, okay, that food has directly affected their behaviour and how their body's actually functioning. So what we eat is massive. And to have as much plant-based, unprocessed food, minimally processed food, like, you need to be able to look at your food and go, I can identify that, like, that's a piece of broccoli, or that's an apple, that's a blueberry. If you have something that's been, you know, I don't know, what did I see in the shops the other day? It was like some spiralised veggie stick, but you look at the packet and there wasn't any veggies in there whatsoever. So when you actually read the ingredient list, it's so far from what it is you're actually trying to achieve. So when we can buy proper whole foods, go through the supermarket aisles where they've got the fruits and vegetables and utilising those as your food. Exercising regularly, this is also super important. Movement is critical. If we're sedentary a lot of the time, they're actually finding that's worse than being a smoker these days. Like, you're actually putting yourself at greater risk of a whole range of different things if you're super sedentary, even greater than smokers for certain kind of diseases. So movement is super important. And it can be incidental stuff. You don't have to be doing some high impact thing at the gym, but movement is critical. Doing a health talk, but that's fine. You can go for your walk afterwards. There's a time for everything. Water is also super duper important. So staying really well hydrated, making sure you're drinking good quality water as well. If you're drinking water that's contaminated, or water that's levels, or all sorts of other things, can kill off your gut flora and affect how your body actually functions. So making sure you're really well hydrated. So often people ask, like, how much do I drink? Or they throw around like the eight glasses a day or whatever. There's actually a little formula there. So if you've got your weight in kilograms, times that by 35, and that's going to give you the amount of mil you should be drinking within a day, roughly. So if you do exercise, for every half an hour of exercise, you're going to add 400 to 600 mil to that overall level. But that formula gives you how much water your body is actually losing. So we're losing water through sweat, through your breath, respiration, urination, moving your bowels, all of those kinds of things. All our elimination organs are essentially functioning with water. So yeah, good, I can hear water bottles opening and people drinking, fabulous. So yeah, staying really well hydrated. It's amazing how many people, so just to give you a little bit of background too, after I studied naturopathy, I actually was working at an Adventist health retreat on the south coast called Cedarvale. I don't know if people have heard of that one. That was such a great place to go, straight from the books, thrown right into a health retreat, because it was super hands-on and practical. We had a whole range of different people coming there with a whole range of different conditions. I learned a lot of hydrotherapy and poulticing down there as well, and you could see how quickly And simple remedies would work for people. And when they were actually put in an environment where things were controlled for them, they had to do a certain amount of exercise every day. We were in charge of their food and what we were giving them. They were relaxed because they didn't have their usual day-to-day stresses. And so you could kind of control those foundational elements, and then the additional hydrotherapy and poulticing and herbs and nutritional elements that we added onto them, you could see the real effects occurring quite quickly. And people were surprised, like, I can't believe that. You just put onion on my chest and my emphysema that I've had for 6 months and had to be on an oxygen bottle is gone in 3 days. Like, it was wild, the things that were happening down there. Even I was shocked, like, stay calm, you're the practitioner, smile and nod, but I was like, God, this is amazing. Like, what have you done with these people? So, yeah, often people with chronic migraines and things, if you just stay well hydrated, that can sometimes be the thing that gets rid of your chronic migraines. So, yeah, water is critical. Getting adequate sunshine. Here, where in Australia, we've been given the whole slip, slop, slap, be careful, sun, melanomas, da-da-da-da-da. Now, when people are getting their bloods tested, we have a massive issue with vitamin D deficiency in Australia, like massive. People's vitamin Ds are so low that their immune systems are severely affected by that low level of vitamin D. So our optimal levels should actually be 90 and over. I think on the blood reports they like it to be 50 to 60, but 90 and over is optimal. Now, the more melanin you've got in your skin, so the darker you are, the more time you actually need in the sun to actually absorb the vitamin D that you require. So that's why the range is like 20 minutes to 1 hour, because someone as pale as me doesn't need that long. Whereas, when you've got more melanin, you need a lot more sunlight. And yeah, just making sure you're doing things balanced. So people often say, oh, everything in moderation. Well, you can't do everything in moderation. Do the good things in moderation, because even good things in massive quantities, or if you don't have enough of something, can be bad for you. And just avoid the things that aren't going to be good for us. So avoiding harmful substances and having in moderation those things that are good. Breathing clean, fresh air, making sure we are nose breathing. This is another big one too, where we've got a bit of a chronic issue with mouth breathing, where people just breathing straight in their mouth. It actually increases your risk of allergies. It puts your blood pH down so that you're more acidic, and yeah, it has a whole range of different harmful effects on your body. You can end up with sinus issues, it affects your heart. So making sure we're actually breathing through our nose, and God breathed the breath of life into Adam's nostrils. So he didn't CPR him straight in the mouth, it was actually into his nostrils. So by breathing in through our nose, that is the way God has designed it. It helps to clear all the dust and chemicals that we're breathing in, and it works as that filtration system, and also warming the oxygen before it hits our lungs as well, which is also really beneficial. And yeah, sleep, critical. So the younger we are, the more sleep we need. And as we get older, your body's levels of melatonin will actually decrease over time. So you actually need less sleep as you get older, or your body will start not sleeping for quite as long as it used to. So I don't know if we've got any like 4 or 5 a.m. awakeners here. So yeah, that will happen over time, but we do want to try and improve our sleep where we can. I know Dan says I turn into a pumpkin at 9 o'clock, and that's for real. Like, as soon as it's 9, don't ask me to make any big decisions or tell me anything I need to remember the next day. I'm just done, like tapping out. I know if I get into bed at 9:30, I'll wake up feeling refreshed and I'm happy and I can remember things. But yeah, you push that even for half an hour. By 10:30, when I go to bed then, the next morning I'm like, oh, I'm so tired, I should have gone to bed earlier. So yeah, small amounts of time make a big difference. So try and get to bed early. And yeah, definitely this prioritizing faith, having hope and trust in God. Like, the world isn't the best place. There's a lot of things going on in it. People are concerned, worried about things. There's a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression. But when we can put our trust in God, and I've got to say as well, all these natural remedies that we look at, they're super simple. And God is in the business of simple. He just likes things uncomplicated, accessible for everybody, because it's his power working through those simple elements that actually bring him the glory. So it's not some expensive, fancy, you've got to do this, that, jump up and down here and there. It's simple things that you're going to find in your pantry, water that's flowing in streams coming out of your tap, whatever. Like, there's simple things that God will work through to improve our health. So here's just a couple of quotes. So from Selected Messages, second Selected Messages, our Saviour is the restorer of the moral image of God in man. He has supplied in the natural world remedies for the ills of man. And I love that. So he's got them in the natural world for us to access. That his followers may have life and that they may have it more abundantly. So God has given things in our natural environment for our benefit, for our blessing, so that we can live more abundantly. And often we thumb our nose at these things and think, oh, you know, what's that going to do? I'll just go and try something that's more fancy. But it's these simple things. And I'm not saying there's not a place for doctors or going to hospital. Like, there definitely is, and we've had to access those on multiple occasions. But start with the simple things first. Live your life so that you build that healthful foundation so that you can have those healthy, happy homes. And then when something goes down, try the tools that you have in your toolbox first, see how they work, and if you're not getting the results that you needed, then you need to seek further assistance. So, yeah, don't ever just think, no, I have to go natural all the way. You don't have to. You can choose to if you want to. But if you feel like, okay, I'm not getting the result I need some additional assistance, that is available too. But start with the simple things first. See what effect you can get early on. So it says here, the Lord has provided provided antidotes for disease in simple plants, and these can be used by faith with no denial of faith. For by using the blessings provided by God for our benefit, we are cooperating with him. So we are actually cooperating with God in using those natural elements. He can use water and sunshine and herbs which he has caused to grow in healing maladies brought on by indiscretion or accident. So yeah, God will use these elements, and I've seen it over and over again. Oh, sorry, here, I'll pop it back. That's all right. Oh, hang on. That went back a fair way. All these transitions. Here we go. All right, take that. Now, there was actually a little handout that I asked to get printed as well. So I think there should be one laying around, but I'll sort that out later. I think Nika said she was going to print them out for me. So that'll have some info. So just looking at some acute remedies, so things that you can just try for yourself, just to kind of, you know, get the training wheels moving and see how these natural things work. So things as simple as cuts. Like, who's had a cut? We've all had a cut, and, you know, with young kids, you're dealing with cuts all the time. So simple things to do that really help. Cayenne pepper, which not necessarily one that you'd think of. It is a little bit spicy going on, but it's amazing how quickly that spiciness disappears, and it'll actually stem the bleeding. So when you've got a deep cut, I've nipped the dog's quick on her nail before, and those just bleed like nothing else. So you stick a little bit of cayenne pepper on that, and it'll stop it. Dan had an accident. I'll just share stories with the family because, you know, this is the family month. So he was using an reciprocating saw, you know, those kind of motorized things. Anyway, he was cutting something and somehow it slipped and it went into his knee. So this isn't uncommon for Dan. He'll often hobble into the house with something bleeding or mashed up. I'm like, okay, sit down. But yeah, so he cut into his leg and it was fairly deep. And I thought, oh, yeah, it will clean it out. That's the big thing. With a cut, you want to make sure it's clean. You get all the bad bacteria out. So generally, I'll hydrogen peroxide things. So we've got a little first aid spray bottle of hydrogen peroxide. So it fizzed up first. The 3% solution. Yeah, so we sprayed that on first, and then we actually got cayenne pepper because it was just bleeding everywhere. And so Dan packed the cayenne pepper into it because it was fairly deep. So he packed it in, you cover it for a bit, the bleeding stopped, and he's got an old soccer injury that he kind of has a bit of a gummy knee, and often it gives him a bit of pain, a bit of inflammation in there. But anyway, after packing that cayenne pepper in there, it was warming. And the next day, well, you tell, how did your knee?
Knee was fine, didn't hurt at all.
He was like, man, I wonder if we should go into cayenne pepper injections into joints. He's like, that was really good. So yeah, cayenne pepper we do use as a counter irritant, so it does help with nerve pains and things like that. So, but yeah, he just packed it into that wound and that healed up beautifully. I don't even think you've got a scar there. And yeah, it started out pretty nasty. So it's amazing what can be done. But cayenne pepper is a great one to have on hand. I literally went through a time when I used to carry it in my handbag. When the kids were young, they'd be running, stack it, straight over on the gravel. I'd come over and just cayenne pepper out of my handbag. Other parents in the park were probably like, what is she doing? Oh, but anyway, iodine is another really good one. So just using an iodine spray. I use this a lot with our animals. So we live on property out near Cessnock Way, and we've got sheep and horses, and there's always somebody that's sick. So it's not always your family, like humans, that you're treating, but it's your extended furry family as well. So I can attest to iodine being great for the horses and the sheep more recently after their shearing. So yeah, that's a really nice one when the wound is weeping, so just to really dry it out. But these dirty wounds, the hydrogen peroxide, that is our go-to, but always clean things out. Nice warm water. Colloidal silver is another really good one that we use a fair bit. Actually, that's what we've got in our spray. We've got colloidal silver and hydrogen peroxide together. So we spray on anything that looks a bit nasty. All right, and this will be all in your handout, so I'll just make sure that comes to you and you've got all that. But yeah, burns. This is another one that we commonly get, whether it be sunburn, whether it be you touch the oven or get yourself on the fire or whatever it is, but burns are a fairly frequent thing. Aloe vera is our big go-to for burns. Now, we grow a lot of that in our garden, and aloe vera is so great for many things. We don't have time to talk about everything, but on the skin, it's great. And we've got a little case study of Ethan's coming up where we'll talk about aloe as well. So yeah, you can just pop that straight on. So the way you use aloe, you cut the leaf off first, and then I generally just cut all the little spikes away and then just slice the piece off in the size that you want and just cut away that dark green outer skin, and then it'll reveal like a really jelly, clear kind of flesh on the inside. If there's lots of yellow or orange kind of goo running through it, that's the anthraquinones that can be a bit irritating. So if you're eating your aloe vera, you want to make sure you wash away all that yellow stuff. And generally I'll wash it away even if I'm using it on the skin, because people with sensitive skin can react to the anthraquinones in there. But yeah, you want to make sure it's nice and clear, the aloe that you're using. So the deep burns, superficial burns. So if I burn myself on, like I've just cooked a pot of something and then I've gone to pick it up and burn my finger or something, the lavender oil, that's my go-to for just a quick superficial burn. You just put the lavender oil on neat, and again, it'll sort that burn out without often any blistering and no scarring. So lavender oil is awesome. And yeah, if you're getting a deeper burn, so it's kind of, second degree kind of thing, the manuka honey as an antibacterial agent and a bit of a second skin to go over the top, and the aloe vera over the top of the manuka, and that'll also create another kind of second skin bandage over the top. So yeah, beautiful combination, the honey and the aloe. Bites and stings. Now this is again something we frequently get, and this is so quick and easy to do. So if you've got an itchy bite, I've got a little video on putting a potato poultice on, so I'll show that shortly, but lavender oil is awesome, especially if it's really itchy. Just get that lavender oil straight on. If you've got painful stings, again, lavender oil is great. The amount of times there's been like, Ethan just loves hanging in branches and jumping in trees, and we've got a lot of those paper wasps around our house. And so, yeah, he'll frequently come running in like, I got done by a wasp. Less so now, because he got done by so many that his reactions started to get worse and worse. I was like, you need to just stay away from the wasps, pal. But yeah, so we used to always get lavender oil on, and they go from like, to like, even 30 seconds after getting the lavender on, then they're like barely even complaining about it anymore. So it's amazing how quick that works. And if they're swollen bites or stings, using the potato poultice or popping some ice on. If they're toxic bites, using the charcoal. I'll talk about poulticing a little bit later and the benefits of charcoal, but that one's really good if something has bitten you that's actually poisonous. So that helps to draw out the toxins. So we'll go to the poulticing afterwards. I want to do a little brief on hydro, because I'm just giving you the simple remedies that we use in our home day to day. Or week to week. Hopefully not day to day, that'd be a pretty bad week. but week to week, and the things that work really quickly. So I'm going to just do a few little demos here after I just give you the brief on what it is, and I'm going to use my family members because they have benefited from these hydrotherapy techniques on a regular basis. So what is hydrotherapy if you've never heard of the word? So hydro being water, therapy, you're using it for some kind of therapeutic reason. So to have a particular kind of effect on the body, and you can use water in its various forms. So they can be things like, saunas, or you're doing a steam inhalation, or you're having a cold bath, or whatever it might be. So you can use water in different forms. You can use it for acute or chronic conditions. And the ones that we use regularly are the heating compresses. They are super easy to do, have really good effects on the body for acute things. So I'll show you those. But yeah, there's saunas and baths and all sorts of things. And there's a whole range of things that you can use them for. So I'll call up Dan if you want to come, and we'll show these guys what we do for a sore throat. So, when you wake up, or you don't necessarily wake up, as the day goes on, your throat just starts feeling like a bit dry, and you're drinking water and the dryness isn't going away, and then it starts turning into more of a razor blade kind of feel. So this is what you want to do, the heating compress. Now, people always get scared because at the beginning I say put that in cold, wet water, and they're like, cold. Newsflash, your body is going to heat it up. So you start off with something cold, because when you put something cold against your body, it goes, whoa, we're trying to maintain a balance here. That's too cold. Let's send blood flow to that area to try and warm that site up. So when blood comes to an area, what is our blood carrying? What have we got in our blood? Yeah, there's oxygen. Sorry? Nutrients, yes. Oxygen, nutrients. We've got our white blood cells, yeah. So you've got all of those elements of the immune system coming into play, getting sent by the blood to that site. So we can basically increase blood flow to a particular area or decrease blood flow to a particular area based on what we're trying to achieve. So with the heating compress for the throat, we often just use these Dan's cotton hankies, but clean ones. You can use, like ripped old pillowcases or whatever you've got. You basically just need some decent cotton fabric. So we fold them like this, just so that they're a good width for your neck. So I will fold it first, wet it under the tap, get it all as wet as I can, and then pop it in the freezer for a little bit so that it gets a little bit crispy. And then we get that, pop it round the neck. I'll just hold that on for a sec. And then you get something woolen. So again, we go to Dan's drawer and we get out his old woolen socks. So this is just a woolen sock. So you want a woolen layer, we pop that around. And what you want to make sure you do is, don't allow the wet cloth to be showing, because if you allow the wet cloth to show from under the wool layer, it will have like a wicking effect, and it'll actually cool down your neck too much. So you want to make sure that it's completely concealed. And we just put,
you don't get stabbed.
Yeah, so they call these things a safety pin for a reason. I was very safe with that. So yeah, I just get a nice big safety pin, pop it on the side, but you can use whatever other clips you might have available, but we kind of tend to do that. So you can see how the hanky, not entirely, let me cover that. So yeah, you want to make sure it's all fully sealed over. Beautiful. So that would be nice and cold there. And when your throat you've got the razor throat and it just feels hot as well. So by putting that cold compress over it, it straight away just soothes it. You pop that on, you'll often find that you fall asleep a lot faster, and the next morning you'll often wake up and you've barely got a sore throat at all, or it's completely gone overnight. So if you catch it early enough, get that on. Obviously drink a lot, make sure you get an early night. You don't want to put a neck sock on, a heating compress, and then just stay up till midnight. Like, that's probably not going to help you. So again, looking at those foundational things, make sure you've got the foundation set first, and then you can use that. Yeah, okay, Dan's got to actually run to another appointment, so thanks, babe, for being our demo body on that. Yeah.
Does it specifically have to be wool, or just something woolly to...
Wool is best, but yeah, if you're allergic to wool, then probably polar fleece or something like that. So You just want to make sure it's going to get warm enough, but it's also not, it's going to dry quickly as well, because you don't want the outer layer to become really wet too. So in the morning when you wake up, this will be dry when you take it off. And then you just want to give yourself like a brief cold rub over your neck and dry it off, and that's the treatment finished. So yeah, super easy. Who's got those items in their cupboard that they can use? Yeah, and we do that heaps with the kids as well when they're little. I've just got to say, for those with young kids, you'll go through this season where you just feel like the family is sick all the time. And sometimes, and especially for me, I guess, being a naturopath and into health and we eat well, I just felt like, why are my kids sick all the time? Like, what are we doing wrong here? But I really learned that your bodies go through an education process. And so young bodies, their immune system is learning and it's interacting with the environment. It has to be educated by bugs. And so you are going to get sick. Your kids are going to be sick, but they can get over the sickness a lot faster. So we never had kids sick for a week or two with like a cold or something. It was kind of done within a few days. So you want to make sure it's short and sharp. They get sick and they're well quickly. So yeah, definitely utilising these remedies. And when the kids used to get a sore throat, they'd come up to me like, "Mum, can you put the sock around my neck?" And again, when you've got other people around that don't understand these principles, I'm like, "Sure, honey, let's do that when we get home." People are like, "Sock around the neck? Should I be calling someone?" Anyway, so yeah, just be careful what you say. Or it's great to actually share these remedies with your friends. So when the kids are like, "Mom, can you put that sock on my neck?" You can be like, "Yeah, I will. That's actually a great hydrotherapy remedy. Have you heard of that?" And then share that with your friends. It's actually a great ministry tool as well that we found with lots of our neighbours and friends, just sharing health things. The other heating compress that we love to use, Ethan, do you want to come up for this one, is a chest compress. So again, same kind of heating compress. So this is Ethan. Say hi to everyone. So it's good to kind of keep an old, like this is a size 3 to 4 singlet. Ethan is 9. But it's good to have a little short singlet that's going to sit up higher. So keep a few of their small singlets, or you cut the base off your singlet so it's not going to hang out and again have that cold wicking effect. So if Ethan came to me with a hacking cough and he's, got a lot of mucus on the chest, we would get his singlet, wet that in cold water. Again, you can pop it in the freezer for a little bit, but I tended not to do that with the kids because I just felt like that was next level brutal. They would often have like a hot shower or bath. I just put this under cold water, wring it out. So you want it wrung out so that it's not dripping, but you still want it fairly moist. So wring it right out. Ethan would have this shirt off, so you want to put this on bare skin, but I won't get him to demo that today. So we'd pop that on, put your arms through. Yeah, it's a small singlet. Okay, it's a bit easier when he doesn't have another shirt on top. So that would go on against his skin, so that would be cold, and he'd be going, "Oh, that's cold." And I've actually just got a woolen blanket that I just cut a little head hole out of, so like a poncho, and we stick that over the top. And then I just get some kind of strapping. So these are just like knee straps and things that you can get from the chemist, but it just worked really quick and easy for the kids because it's just Velcro on one side, there's no pins or anything. So we just tuck that because, again, you don't want the vest showing. So sometimes I would actually strap a different bandage there, but just for sake of demoing right now, I'll just go like this. So that just goes around and sticks on. So yeah, generally I'd just put a couple of those over. And then you'd put their pajama shirt over the top of that. You can see the staining from a castor oil compress there. But yeah, he would basically just sleep like that overnight. And again, if you don't put the pack on, they'll often get into bed. You can hear them coughing. It takes them an hour to go to bed, and they're coming out like, "Oh, Mum, I need a drink," or no. You put one of these on because the body's trying so hard to warm up the chest space. It's actually very soothing. So the blood is being drawn from the extremities and kind of coming into the chest area, and it's really nice and warm. And they just go off to sleep. It's like being in a warm bath. So yeah, within minutes, they'd often be off. I wouldn't hear them coughing at night. This one with the chest, you generally have to do it for a couple of nights in a row. So you would do 2 or 3 nights just to be sure that it was gone, and then that's it. You wouldn't need it after that. So again, seems an odd thing to put wet against the skin, but your body will try really hard to warm that up, and it's going to bring all that blood flow to that area and bring all the goodness with it. So yeah, they get better a lot faster. So we've done that a fair bit too. We're kind of now out of that season of a lot of coughs and colds and things. I don't seem to get them as often now, but I know when they were like Judah's age, we were like chest compressing often. So yeah, we'd at least have, you know, each kid would probably at least have 4 to 5 compresses like a year in different times. So yeah, you go through this period of just slaughtered with illness. So yeah, looking at a few of our favourite poultices. So actually I feel like the videos are coming up. So poulticing. So what is poulticing? So poulticing is basically using some kind of vegetable or plant material and placing it on our body in a particular area to have a specific kind of effect. So depending on what kind of plant material or vegetable you're using, it's going to have different effects, and we'll look at a few of those. And basically you just need something to kind of hold that plant material against your skin. So I can show you a few different options for what you can use. Again, it'll have various effects depending on what you're using, but often they're drawing toxins out from the skin. They can help reduce inflammation and stop swelling and reduce pain and things like that. Breaking up congestion, this is a big one, especially for chest, oh, sorry, that's my lapel mic, especially for chest issues, or if you've got scar tissue and things like that, your castor oil poultice is awesome. Increasing circulation is a big thing as well. Again, whenever we're utilising our circulation, we can really get a much quicker healing effect. And that's going to help accelerate the healing and even stimulate cell growth in particular cases as well, depending on what we're using. So, how do we actually make up a poultice? Break down scar tissue. What things do we actually need? So, obviously you need the poultice material, you need a suitable binder. Some of them are really wet and you actually need to put something in just to thicken it up so that you can make a nice paste to spread it out. So good binders are things that are water soluble. So the psyllium husks, or using some ground linseed, slippery elm, or even just flour you can use. People used to do poultices with bread as a bit of a bulker as well, so like white bread, and just kind of shove that into the poultice. So you can get creative if you're desperate. It's amazing what you can do. Actually, one time we were camping when I was a kid, and I was running near the tents, and there was a tent peg that was just spiky up top, and I ran and just stepped onto it, and it just went into my heel. We were pretty remote out somewhere, and I'd been running barefoot everywhere, and then I'd step on this tent peg, and it was dirty. It was like a pretty deep wound, and my parents were like, oh, great, what are we going to do with that? And I was the kid that always was getting scraped up and would quickly get like a blood poisoning septicemia thing going on. So they were like, of all the kids, you're the one that steps on the peg. Anyway, but we got salt, first of all, packed salt down that wound. And then I remember Dad actually scraping some charcoal off the fire and then packing the charcoal in there as well. And yeah, it actually came good and healed just fine, but we were a bit nervous when it first happened. It was really sore. I couldn't walk on it for about 2 days, but yeah, it came good. Yeah?
I've heard that charcoal, when you put it in a wound, can colour your skin. Is that true?
Yeah, look, I've actually never seen that happen to anyone. People do say that, and I've kind of been tempted to try it, but it's one of those things that you're like, well, only if it does. I'll have to pick a spot that's, no one's ever going to see. No, it's not actually. So yeah, if that's the test spot, it's not black. Yeah.
Maybe just for the sake of the live stream, so repeat the question.
Oh yeah, sorry. So the question was, if you put charcoal onto a wound, will it actually stain your skin and kind of tattoo it? But yeah, I've never actually seen that, and I've used myself charcoal in some pretty big wounds and things. I'll show you what poulticing material I use. If you're desperate, you're going to do things a bit more raw. Like when we were camping there, we didn't have a whole range of things, so the charcoal just went straight on. But when you've got access to things that you can do it a little more cleanly, then yeah, do it that way. So I'll show you what I use as my cloth or suitable application patch in a moment. So yeah, often you'll just need a bit of masking tape, some Glad wrap, like plastic wrap, and a bandage to apply it. So they're the different things that we would use. So you can use something as simple as like any kind of cotton strip. So this handkerchief again would double up as a poultice pad. So you could fold that to whatever size you wanted, put your material on, say we're doing potato, you grate up your potato, pop it there, fold that over, say the wound's on my leg, I'm going to pop it there and plastic wrap, so a bit of Glad wrap, and then bandage that on. So essentially you're needing something to hold it, a waterproof barrier, and something to help with absorbency. So this would help absorb a bit of the liquid up as well, but hopefully you've got your binder in, and then the cling wrap works as the waterproof layer. Now, who knows what one of these is? It's chopped up, so you may not notice it, you may not recognise it, but yeah, these are just the bluey pads, like the hospitals, the incontinence pads, and they do them even, like I've often bought them in bulk, like the puppy pad ones, as long as they don't have all the chemicals and fragrances in them. But the blueys from the hospital, they're pretty good, so they've got this nice little cloth layer. Then they've got the tissues, that's the absorbent layer, so you put your material in there, helps to soak up some of the water, and then you just pop that over the top. So that's going to stop the ingredients actually getting down into your wound or whatever. And then it's got the waterproof plastic backing, so you don't even have to do the cling wrap. So that's all the layers that you need for a poultice. So we generally will just peel that back, put our poultice material in there, fold that over. You can masking tape the edges if you need to stop it from falling out. I know with onion, with the kids, we'd often masking tape it because there's nothing worse than just having like onions just all fall out in their bed, and then you come out in the morning and there's just like a barbecue occurring in their bedroom. So yeah, it's good to masking tape the edges, and then you can pop that on and just bandage it into position with your bandage. So these are actually awesome. You can buy them just at your chemist as well. They come in packs of 20 and they're generally like sizable, so then you chop them up into the poultices. But yeah, I did get some strange looks when I went and bought bulk incontinence pads from the chemist one day. The lady at the counter was like, you know when they try not to make eye contact with you, but they're like, wow, she's too young to need all of these. I was like, thank you. But yeah, so the blueys are really great to work with, so we use them. So I've got a little case study here. I've got a few photos with just a few stories. So this again is Ethan. So he comes a cropper with a lot of things. So you can see that scratch just on his knuckle there. So that was, we had my mum's dog at our house, a little puppy, and it scratched his knuckle, and he initially didn't say anything about it, so we never sprayed it with hydrogen peroxide or anything, which had we, it probably wouldn't have got to this point. But it's starting to get really swollen and red, so I'll just circle it there. You can see where it was quite swollen and turning red. Then by the time he showed me, it was already going up his arm. So you can see that red, the septicemia line, where the blood is kind of getting poisoned with the toxins that have come through the scratch. So essentially, it came from there all the way up his arm. Now, once you're getting to elbows, armpits, like that's hitting some pretty big lymph nodes, and then when those toxins get to the heart, you can have all sorts of issues. So generally, they see this kind of thing at the hospital. This is a bit of like a code red, like quick, this kid needs antibiotics. Often they'll do IV or whatever as well. So looking at that, having the background I did as a kid with all my scratches and scrapes and blood poisonings, and now the naturopathic training, I was like, we'll just use poulticing on this and get this down. So you can see the potato poultice that's in the background. So there's the bluey pad. We cut a little thumb hole and the grated potatoes in there with some ground up linseed. Now we did mark with a pen just where the red line was. So you want to monitor something like this because it is fairly risky, like it's acute, so you've got to monitor it. If you're like, she'll be right, I'll get onto a poultice in a few hours, like, then you're the personality that probably should just go to the hospital and get it sorted out. But if you're going to be onto it and making sure you're monitoring, you can sort this out easily with plant materials. I've even had, like when I worked at Cedar Vale, we had a lot of leeches there, and the leeches, when they would bite you, they had some bacteria from the leaves that they were like sucking on. And you would get blood poisoning so easily. So we've had staff members that had the septicemia lines to their armpits or from their legs up to their groin, and we still treated and had 100% success. So as long as you get onto it quickly and you're monitoring and thorough. So we were changing that potato poultice pad every 2 hours. So the more toxins that are contained within whatever it is you're treating, the more frequently you want to change that poultice pad. Think of it like a sponge. If you've got a mess that you're trying to clean up, if you've got a sponge that's absorbed the mess and then you just keep wiping that over the table or the floor, it's no longer absorbing anything more. You actually have to go and squeeze that sponge out and then come again. So the poultice pad is like that. It's like a big sponge. So change it every 2 to 3 hours with an incident like this. And yeah, Ethan's still with us. That came down doing that for one day, changing every 2 to 3 hours towards the end of the day. The line was already way down to his wrist. The next morning, it was just in his knuckle, and the next day, it was gone. So it responded really quickly. But again, you have to be on top of it. Here's just a simple little video of how to treat a bite here. So hopefully the volume will be loud enough. So what we're going to do is get our potato, and we're just going to peel a segment. Normally I leave that first one and actually use my second peeling so that you've got more. That's actually going to go over the bite site, and we're going to strap it on. You can either use a regular Band-Aid, you can use micropore or an elastoplast tape, and so we'll fix that on now. Alright, so here's the bite site. We're going to pop the potato piece onto that, and then we're going to cover it over with the tape and stick that on. Alright, and then we just want to leave that covered for even a couple of hours. The itch will already go away, but often I just let my kids sleep with it overnight and they're all good the next morning. So yeah, that was just a real simple way to do it, because sometimes grating the potato, going through the whole rigmarole can seem a bit intimidating for people, but something as simple as that, like you're just doing a potato peeling, sticking it on. So back to the leeches at Cedar Vale, when we'd get bitten, as soon as we'd flick the leech off, we'd just go and do that, stick that potato poultice on with a Band-Aid, and you wouldn't get the blood poisoning. But if you didn't, you would. Then you'd be into more intensive treatments later. So yeah, potato, it is a really good drawer of toxins. It's a great alkalizer, so really good for even arthritic joints and things. You can poultice over arthritic joints. And yeah, I use that over charcoal for a lot of my infected toxic things, unless it's actually poisonous. So with charcoal, if there's been like a spider bite or something, I'll definitely use the charcoal because it's more effective. Yes? Skin cancers. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
It looks pretty good the next day, and then that sort of gets a bit of a scab that gets sore,
Yep.
and the scab dries out, comes off, and I put another one on, but I've been doing this one for quite a while,
Yeah, awesome.
and it does get sore.
Yeah, yeah.
But you're saying about the charcoal, what do you use? And I'm just putting a bit of oil in, because I've used it straight.
Yeah, that's right. It's very powdery. So yeah, with charcoal, we've got a whole slide on charcoal and how to make it up, because that's pretty critical too, because charcoal is another thing that gets really messy and can go everywhere if you don't prepare it appropriately. Yeah, that's right. No, we'll get back to that, and I can talk to you afterwards about that as well. So yeah, potato is my go-to for a lot of things, and then charcoal if it's up a notch with toxicity. But yeah, onion is another one that's my favourite. So probably potato and onion are my two favourite poultices. And I cry a lot cutting onions, so it works really well. I am happily, because I know it's going to be so good. Helps to break up mucus, congestion in the chest. It is a bronchodilator, so I've even had people who have been having an asthma attack and there was no Ventolin, they weren't carrying their Ventolin, and we've just chopped onions and had them breathe the onions. And within moments, they're like I can breathe again. So it's a real amazing bronchodilator, and we do a lot of chest packs with the onions. So I've got a video on that as well. So beautiful antimicrobial too. So when you've got a bacteria there and you're trying to open up airways. So for chest ailments, onion is awesome. So that's definitely the go-to there. Reduces that spasmodic coughing, like, you know, when you're just dry and you're just coughing and you can't seem to get anything up. Oops, sorry, somebody was getting that. So yeah, that's Onion is your superstar for anything to do with the airways. And so I've got a little video here just on how to make it up as a chest pack. Oh yeah, sorry, question?
Just curious with the vegetables and stuff. Do they have to be like organic?
Yeah, so vegetables for poulticing, do they need to be organic? Not necessarily, because you're utilising them on the outside and a lot of them have drawing effects. So toxins that are within that are actually going to be drawn into itself. They're generally not going to transfer the other way around. So if you can get organic, great. We do use a lot of stuff from our garden, but it doesn't have to be. So don't go, oh, I couldn't put a potato poultice on because I don't have an organic one. Just use what you've got. Yep. All right, quick video here. Hey there, I'm Renee and I'm going to show you how to make an onion poultice today with my trusty sidekick. What is a poultice? A poultice is using some type of vegetable or plant material, and you're going to change the form of it by pounding it up or crushing it up and then putting it in between some kind of fabric layers and applying it somewhere on the body. This process that I show you today is standard for a lot of different poultices, and then obviously you can use different types of materials and you can also apply them to various areas. But we're going to do a standard onion poultice today as a chest pack. All right, so what we're going to need, obviously, onions are pretty critical to an onion poultice. What do we actually apply the poultice onto? Pillowcase will do just fine. You're just providing a bit of a barrier to put your plant material onto and folding it up and applying it on. With something like this is how poultices used to be made. So we're applying that to the chest. Because a lot of your plant material will contain water, it's going to end up seeping out. So to make poultices really easy, we can use some other prefabricated materials. So these bluey pads that you get just from your local chemist. So that's super handy for making a poultice because it's going to absorb some of the moisture. It's going to contain the material with that mesh kind of layer, and it's going to stop seepage. So I love using the blueys, and you can cut them to whatever size you need. And also another favorite, which is a little bit more cost effective even, is your puppy pads. So you can buy them in big bulk packs from a variety of places. I cut that to size, and then we're also going to just make a cut down the side here and get our material inside. We're not going to use the onion skin, so we're just going to peel an onion. All right, so we've got onion that we're crying over. Then we're going to just roughly chop it. For a chest pack, this is for a child, so usually I'll just use one onion, like a medium-sized onion, but if you're doing an adult, you'll want a fairly large onion or two smaller size onions. All right, so once we've got that, I'll add a little bit of water in just to help it to blend up. So approximately a tablespoon of water. You can add a little bit more if needed. About a teaspoon of psyllium husks in there as well. Okay, so we'll close that up and let's give it a blend. It's an onion poultice, I am crying. So we want it to be kind of mushy, and you can see that that's really blended down quite nicely, and the psyllium husks will help thicken. If it looks as though it's a little bit too moist, you can always add a little bit of an extra sprinkle of psyllium husks just to thicken. It's again just to kind of hold the onion juices in the poultice as opposed to just having them all leach away. So some kind of binder does help with that. So we're just going to lob that over our poultice pad. Another handy implement is going to be a spatula. So just peel that all out. Oh, just have a good therapeutic cry while you're doing this. Potent, that's what it is. This is a potent onion, that's what we want. Wow, I need a break. Let's just cut this for a moment. Okay, so now that I've freshened up and we've got our poultice ready, I'm going to use just some masking tape to just seal off the edges. Again, just to help reduce any spillage. There's nothing worse than waking up in the middle of the night with onions, not only on your chest, but down your pajama legs and on your neck or something. All right, so just sealed that edge up that we trimmed. Okay, so when we've got our poultice patch all sealed up like that, you are going to need some bandages or something. We just use these, it's got Velcro and they're nice and easy to use on the kids. All right, where's my sidekick? What we're going to need to do here is take the shirt off because you don't want any material underneath the poultice patch. It needs to go directly on the skin. All right, do you like getting a poultice applied?
Yes.
You do like it. Why do you like it?
Because it helps me get better from my sickness.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it? We've had poultices a number of nights, let me tell you. Okay, and the kids ask for it because they know that how much better they feel the next day. Same, you don't want to make it super tight. Obviously, they need to breathe. So that's on now. There's a bit of breathe space. How does that feel?
Good.
Not too tight? The onion really helps to dilate the bronchioles and open up the airways, so it helps get oxygen in, and the kids fall asleep really quick, don't you? And you end up not coughing anywhere near as much. And then the antibacterial effects of the onion also do their work overnight. So great patch to use with, just a phlegmy cough, any kind of bronchitis. We've even used it in cases of pneumonia, and it's been very successful. So you need to apply them every night though for a period of time, and even when your symptoms disappear, it's good to do it for 1 or 2 days beyond that, and then you should be in the all clear. All right, so you better go get your shirt on. You're gonna have your onion poultice today. What do you reckon, mate?
Yep.
Thanks, buddy. All right, so that is an onion poultice. Thank you. All right, by the way, Ethan's little yes, I like it, it helps me get better. That was totally unscripted, and I was like, really? Because I was expecting him to say yuck, I hate them or something. But he said, yeah, I like it on the video. I was like, oh, good on you, mate. But anyway, my shy little kid's helping me out there. So yeah, that's definitely awesome for any kind of chest things. I had a really bad bronchitis a couple of years back, and the onion poultices really got me through that, which was awesome. All right, so here's the charcoal slide. So this is, again, another favourite. I think everyone should have charcoal powder in their cupboard, regardless of what age you are. Charcoal is just an awesome thing to have. So the powder is better because it's more versatile, and you can utilise it from the mouth all the way through the gastrointestinal tract and on your skin, whereas if you've just got the little capsules, then you're there emptying them all out. So get a tub of charcoal if you don't have one. You want the activated charcoal, so that one's going to have a bigger surface area. Yes? Yeah, so the question is there any particular kind of charcoal you should use? So I think it's best to use activated charcoal. So activated is additionally, not heat treated, but they blasted steam at it, and so it's opened up a whole lot more surface area. So it makes all these little holes in it, so it can absorb even more than just regular charcoal. Your charcoal is best when it's made from different hardwoods and things. These days they're using a lot of coconut shells and things in it as well, which is okay, but I do find with that charcoal, when you consume it, it won't come out the other end black, which I'm like, hey, what's going on? So I don't feel that it's quite as potent as the hardwood charcoals, but obviously they're trying to reduce, deforestation and stuff like that, so they're utilising other more sustainable options. So if it's got a blend of some hardwoods and some coconut shells, great. But yeah, ideally you've got at least some hardwood and activated. So yeah, so just for the live stream, so you can use charcoal from the fireplace if you're desperate. But ideally, get activated stuff, it's going to be better. But you can still use the stuff from the fireplace. But do not use the stuff off your burnt toast. That is not charcoal. That's just carcinogenic material, okay? So don't go for that. And you can, so with the poultices, so we're talking about the poultices here, we'll generally make it up and put it on a cloth material and stick it on the skin. If you rub it on yourself, that'll just be really messy. So try to use it in your poultice patch. That'll be much easier. Or you can take charcoal internally too, but that's a whole nother presentation. So yeah, charcoal is actually your most absorptive material in the world. They actually utilise it in hospital settings when people have overdoses and things like that because it's so good at absorbing. So 1 gram of its surface area has 500 to 1,500 square meters of surface area. Like, it's huge. Absorptive area is massive. Negatively charged to positively charged charcoal, activated charcoal has the negatively charged ions that attract those positively charged ions of a lot of your toxins and things. So it helps to draw toxins out, it absorbs things into itself, and it actually draws things to it. So it doesn't just absorb what's in its way, it physically attracts those positive ions towards itself. Antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, you can use it for a whole range of different things, from bites, stings, poisonings, infected things, abscesses in your mouth. There's a whole range of things that you can utilize charcoal for. Excellent for just general detox and also gastrointestinal tract as well. So yeah, definitely if you haven't got a tub of activated charcoal, go and get one. All right, so as far as how to apply it, so again, it can be very messy, it's very fine. I had a lady just put a dry teaspoon in her mouth at Cedar Valley. I'll never forget it because she was she was this German lady, and she was like, I do it my way, I'm fine. And she was super, so stubborn, but she was a lovely lady. And she was taking it to help control her blood sugar because she was diabetic, and she had this beautiful white fluffy Angora jumper on, and I saw her go into the kitchen. I thought, I'm just going to follow her and see how she's dosing this charcoal. And I go in there to see her with the lid already open. She's got the spoon and it's coming into her mouth. And I think because I walked in at that moment, she realised she should have put that in water, but she was just being lazy. And I think I gave her a bit of a fright, so she did the, that. And because it's so light and powdery, it just sucked into her mouth, just the dust from the top. And then she started coughing. And it just came as black, plumes out of her nostrils. It was the wildest thing, straight down her Angora jumper. So she just had these 2 black tracks, it all happened within an instant, just explosion. So I was there getting water and Elsa, you needed water with that, and what are you doing? But yeah, so do mix it with water if you're ingesting it, but if you're making it into a poultice and applying it externally, if you add a bit of oil, this is the key. So it helps just to keep it moist and keep it like a paste. So a bit of olive oil or coconut oil. Yep.
When I first started using it, I did it with the water, but found that the charcoal absorbed the water, and it was when I took it off the van off the next day, it was all the powder was just going everywhere.
Yeah, that's right. So the charcoal will absorb the water to some degree. It kind of does take it on, and it'll form a paste initially, but then as it dries on your skin, the water evaporates and you'll just be left with the powder again. So yeah, you want to make sure you mix it with a bit of oil to help stop that. I used to mix it with castor oil as well, charcoal and castor oil, especially if you were using it over inflamed joints and things like that. That was another good oil to use. So this was a picture of a little boy that goes to my mum's church. She sent me this picture because the parents had been to the hospital multiple times. They'd been to the doctor. He was on his 4th course of antibiotics. Nobody could diagnose what this thing was. And often we look for a name before we can do something, but the awesome thing about plants and natural materials is you don't have to have a name for something. We don't need the label. You can look at that and go, ooh, that looks a bit infected, that looks toxic, that looks, there's inflammation there, there's swelling, and then you can go, okay, what plant materials have properties that can help with that? And so Mum sent me this photo and said, what can they do? The hospital was literally starting to talk amputation with the parents, and they were like, what? Because they had tried so many things already in that space, and I think this boy was 5. Anyway, so Mum's like, what can you do? They're desperate. And I said, looking at that, I was like, let's just alternate. If you do a charcoal poultice overnight and do potato poultice in the morning and take it off after 3 hours, just keep alternating those 2 poultices. Anyway, so that's what they did. They put the charcoal on overnight, and then they did potato once or twice a day early on. And guess how long it took to completely clear, and they've never had an issue with it? Yeah, essentially in a week, the wound, it was not crusting up, it wasn't oozing, Within 3 weeks, the skin was completely normal, like nothing had ever been there, not even a scar. And we went and visited Mum up a few, maybe 6 months ago now or something, and this little boy just came running over to me and waving, and I'm thinking, oh, cute little boy. Anyway, and then his mum came up to me and she said, that leg, that was my boy. And I was like, it takes you a few moments. I'm like, what? Then I realized, that was the little boy with a leg like this, and he's not had an issue with it since. So I still to this day don't exactly know what it was, but it was obviously some germ or toxin, bacteria that was stuck in his leg that was not healing with antibiotics and all sorts of things. They were just putting
With the charcoal and
charcoal at night.
in the
Yep.
cloth and rubbing to the wound.
That's right. So they were just popping the charcoal in one of these and just popping the charcoal mixed with oil, making a paste, putting it there, closing that up, and that was going on the boy's leg, and they'd bandage that on. So that would go on overnight, and then they'd do the same